Hello everyone, and welcome to video 3 for the Inner Black Sheep LLC. I am Brian Gomez, and I'm the founder of the Inner Black Sheep. For those of you listening for the first time, the reason I founded the Inner Black Sheep is because it's a connection I have with one of my passions, and that's to help people. For me, the Inner Black Sheep will enable me to motivate, coach, guide, and mentor people to have a better understanding and acceptance of their authentic self, which I call the Inner Black Sheep. In my previous videos, I talked about 3 A's. What I mean by 3 A's are 3 key points that I'm focusing on for you to have a better understanding and acceptance of your authentic self. The first A, which was on video 2, I talked about apprehension. And what I mean by apprehension is to understand. So if you go through that video, you'll have better understanding of what your authentic self is. And it's really the unconscious understanding. I gave a story about myself, disclosing myself a bit through these videos. It's really about giving a bit of me for you to find you. And that's really what the intent of all these are. So I mentioned seeing the wizard behind the curtain. And as you see some of my time lapses, I literally have a curtain in front of my studio. So today we're going to talk about the second A. And the second A is acknowledgement. And what I'm referring to is to recognize. So I'm going to tell you a bit about me, a little story of how I started to acknowledge or started to recognize the inner black sheep. So for me, understanding apprehension is the unconscious, while acknowledgement is now understanding the conscious. So growing up, the rules in my house were fairly simple. Respect your parents, get good grades. Grades were such importance in my family that my father told me once, if I get straight A's, I'll get $100. It's really to motivate me to continue and strive in my education. I was fortunate that my family had the means to even offer that to me. But as a child, you don't know any better. All you know is I can get $100, I get straight A's. So one day I was able to accomplish that task and presented my father with straight A's. And for some reason at that time, he changed the agreement on me. He said, instead of giving you $100, how about you pick one gift? For some reason, that didn't sit well with me. And at the time, I had no idea why. I didn't understand, why that didn't sit well with me. So despite him, I chose a gift that cost more than $100, and I got my first game system, which was the Nintendo. This trend would continue on until my dad changed the agreement again. So this time, instead of giving me a gift, he says, okay, we're going to focus on, if you get an A, it's an X, a B, an X, a C, an X, and so forth. So it's really about each letter is the amount of money that you receive. So as a child, I'll cash that in. I have no problems with that. I mean, I'm making money and giving my dad what he's asking for is good grades. But again, something inside of me was like, God, why change the rules? It seems, off. And, as a kid, you don't understand what's going on with that. And you're just kind of going with it. But as I reflected as an adult and I'm looking back and, trying to really understand, your authentic self, who I am and what I'm calling the inner black sheep, I realized that it was my core values that were being affected. That's why it didn't feel right. And at the time, I figured core values were taught, nurture versus nature. But the reality is core values aren't taught. That's why it's core. You're born with them and it's who you are. And as I began to understand this and recognize my authentic self, I started realizing the impact that has, what your core values are. And that was my core value. My core value was to stick to the bargain that was given to you. It doesn't mean that there weren't logical reasons for changing the deal. As a child, you have no idea what's going on financially or mentally or different ways that parents try to guide you. But all I can know is that as an adult, and I start reflecting and I start looking at myself and I start realizing, you know what? It's okay to be a little different. It's okay to feel that way of something's off. My ask for you in the purpose of sharing that story is start thinking about yourself. Start thinking about those times, maybe as a child, as a teenager, as an adult, where you felt something wasn't quite right. Not necessarily right or wrong in the sense that, it's evil or things like that, or somebody's breaking the rules or breaking the law. But, something like this, something so minimal as changing the agreement on getting monetary value for grades. When you begin to reflect on that, you can really start to acknowledge your authentic self. And that's powerful, because knowledge is power. You read about that, you hear about that, you learn about that. When you recognize who you are, you're one step closer to accepting who you are, which I'm going to focus on in the next video. So for me, take the time, reflect. The first video, apprehension, is to understand the subconscious authentic self. And now it's the conscious authentic self. So with that, thank you for listening. I'm hoping that these videos are of value to you, as they are to me. And these will grow and evolve as we continue on. And again, feel free to reach out to me, send me a PM, a private message. I know that some of you watching and listening are going through some tough times right now. A lot of us are going through tough times, what's going on in society and, the pandemic that we're currently in. And I felt that this was the right time to talk about your authentic self. Don't feel that your life's a mess. It's not. Don't feel that there isn't a light at the end of the tunnel. There is. It begins with you. And from there, you can go and beyond better. So again, thank you all for listening. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe. Please like. Please follow. That way you'll get more of these as I grow and enhance myself through this journey. Thank you.